The objectives of this presentation, just a couple things. I'm going to talk a little bit about tea, and I won't bore you with that because you've forgotten more about tea than I'll ever know, I'm sure. But just a couple words about it. A couple words about tea as consumed in the United States. We'll also talk about some trends in the United States. Spend a very, very short time talking about the economic conditions and about the future opportunities, trends and opportunities in the United States. It's all a very good story, and very proud of what's happening in the United States. We're moving forward in a very smart fashion, and while the economy is not great, it's only a speed bump, and tea is going to survive this, and it's going to flourish into the future. Okay, let's get into it. You all know about the diverse appeal of tea. Perhaps nowhere else in the world is it more apparent than it is in the United States. I mean, for years and years and years, everyone says the United States doesn't know what tea is all about. There are a bunch of savages over there. They don't even know what hot tea is. All they do is drink cold tea, and what do they know? But to tell you the truth, I don't care how the consumers drink tea, as long as they're drinking it, because over time they're going to experiment with all forms of tea. And even though iced tea is where it's at in the United States, there's growing areas where where there's experimentation taking place with all forms of tea, including specialty teas. But look at how diverse it is. It relaxes some people, other people it invigorates. That's a dichotomy. How could it do both? But tea is such an amazing beverage that it does. It satiates thirst. Some like it hot, others like it cold. Most like the taste, and others like the health benefits. And the health benefits we're going to be talking quite a bit about today. Tea's appeal is immense, and tea consumers in the USA are certainly not traditional by any stretch of the imagination. About 85% of the tea that we drink in the United States is over ice. And that number is probably very conservative because it discounts the impact of all of the ready-to-drink teas that are coming into the marketplace, the cans and bottles. So that figure is probably closer to 90% today. As a result of that, as well as the popularity of instant tea association with health benefits back in 1990 or so, that there were only like 3 scientific studies being conducted globally to determine the health benefits of tea. In the last 3 years, the number is more like 900 each year for the last 3 years. So we've gotten the scientists' attention, and there's still a lot to be discovered. It's very, very easy to get publicity when you're talking the health benefits of tea. And that's one of the main reasons why we did it, just to get people to think about tea.
Greater availability of estate teas. What is the Tea Council of USA doing about it? Is it trying to help promote single estate teas? What is your opinion about the future, the scope of single estate teas in the US?
Right. I think the future for estate teas in the United States is very, very positive, and I'd be happy to report to you that we're starting to see evidence that many of the tea salons out there are jumping on the opportunity. The opportunity for them is not only to have a unique beverage that's unique to them, but it's also a very profitable way to go. And, people are not worried about spending just $1 or $1.50 when you're talking an estate tea. They're willing to spend multiples of that. And so there's a gigantic profit incentive on the part of the small retailers. Again, I think there's going to be a bit of a hiatus or a bit of a slowdown, but it's only temporary because it will come back. But the future for it is gigantic, and everybody wants to have a unique product, and there's no better way to go about doing it than to offer an estate tea. Any other questions? I thought I was off the hook.
So you had mentioned that registration of companies into the USA is very expensive. Is there anything being done to reduce the registration and the formalities? Also, second thing, sir, you had mentioned the import of tea is increasing. Do you have the figures of imports from India into your country?
I don't have them in my briefcase, and I'll discuss it with you later. But it's not bad. I mean, number one, imports are coming from Argentina. Now, the reason for that, two reasons. One has to do with the cost of it, and the other, and I think perhaps even more important, is the characteristics of the tea that we get from Argentina. It's very favorable to making tea the way we drink it in the United States, and that's a clear beverage. The clear beverage is preferred. Unfortunately, the higher the quality tea, and I hate to use the word quality, technical quality I should say, the less good it is to make an iced tea, because it tends to cream down. But as far as India imports, I believe the latest figures that I could recall are in the area of 11 or 12%. Does that sound right, Consultative? I think it's about 11 or 12% of the total imports. That includes instant tea too, though. Regarding the formalities of getting tea into the country, it's horrendous, and it's only going to get worse. And thanks to the terrorism that's rampant throughout the world, and good-intentioned government officials who don't know a damn thing about what they're doing sometimes, and putting in place what they think are precautionary measures, CTPAT and all of these other schemes, the need to have an agent in the United States. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Pre-notification, it's only going to get worse. But it's something that we have to live with, and the days of easy trading in tea, I think, are gone, long gone, and I don't know if they're ever going to come back. It's not a good story, but it's as realistic as I think I can be with you. Any other questions? Way in the back.
The last question.
Good morning. I guess I have to speak a little quicker because we are running a little short of time, but I hope you will understand me with my German accent. Dear Mr. Basudeb Banerjee, dear Mr. Damodar Maheshwari, dear friends in tea, tea drinkers and non-tea drinkers. First, let me thank you for the professional organization of this year's IITC in this amazing city, Kochi. Kudos to Tea Board of India, to UPASI, and to the CCPA. It is a real treat. Events like this make our business so special. I'm sure that many of us have chosen the tea business as a profession and vocation, not only because of the real wonderful product we are honored to trade and work with, but as well due to the strong and personal relationships we maintain with our worldwide partners. Tea is unique. We are all aware of that. Key markets, Germany. Can a market with a consumption of perhaps 18,000 tons be considered a key market? I asked myself when Damodar Prasad Maheshwariji of UPASI appointed me to speak today from a German perspective. Very unlikely, even considering that we import nearly 50,000 tons, out of which more than 50% are being re-exported to 94 different countries. We are rather a small than a key market, at least if it comes to home consumption. If we consider a yearly worldwide production of nearly 4 million tons, Germany imports only 1.5% of the worldwide produce. 1.5%. I rightly do feel like a very small potato here. An average German dares to take 1 cup of tea only every other day. I do not want to bore you with too much of data, which most of you will forget pretty soon anyhow, but as per 2007 figures of our German Tea Association, an average German drank about 25 liters per year. We are about on a par and in good company with France, Austria and Belgium. Our friends from Ireland and UK are able to drink in 1 month about the same amount of tea Germany consumes in 12 months. This is a bit frustrating. Germany remains a coffee-drinking nation despite all efforts. Tea is somewhat not sexy. My own kids explained to me. One nice exception of great use of tea is a small area called East Friesland, bordering on the Netherlands, where we are more than happy to report a consumption higher than in the UK and about 12 times higher than in the German average. Most unfortunately, we only have 400 to 450,000 of these good fellow tea drinkers in our country. The East Frisians consume more than 1,000 tons of predominantly the finest second flush Assam teas, Orthodox and CTC, barely blended with anything inferior to this. However, in this German tea drinking El Dorado, we are seeing a stable or rather declining kilo consumption per head. The reasons are changes in drinking habits, less sugar and cream for health reasons, and therefore a little lighter, less strong brewed cup. And, of course, the general competition with the widespread other beverages available. The market leaders in East Friesland are without any dispute in alphabetical order, Bunting and Thiele and Frese. Their market share is about 90% or more. Till date, most of the tea consumed in Germany is black tea, about 77%. Green tea, white tea, oolong, yellow tea, pushong and pu'er are playing a smaller or minor role.
Chairman of the Tea Board of India, President of UPASI, the organizing committee, CCPA, the chairman of today's session, my fellow presenters, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I must acknowledge the fantastic organization of this program, and I personally enjoyed the cultural event last night. It was absolutely fantastic. And before I start my presentation talking about tea in the UK, I'm very aware of the level of knowledge and understanding of the UK market that exists in this room. So I will stick to basic facts and run through the presentation quickly. Also in the audience is the UK Tea Council Chairman, Mr. Bill Gorman. So in the post-presentation questions, if there is something that he can add to this, to the group, I would certainly welcome that. Right. Tea is a thirst quencher like any other hot and cold drinks. It shares the hot drink segment with coffee and other milky drinks like hot chocolates and malted drinks. We all know hot drinks relax and revive, but tea is about gentle revival, but coffee is about high-speed revival. Tea has always been the favorite drink in the UK. It is bigger than coffee and bigger than alcohol. However, tea's position as the largest drink category is under threat from soft drinks, especially fruit juices and squashes. Tea used to be 40% of all drinks consumed in the UK a decade ago, but it's now only 33%. In the 70s, it used to be a whopping 51%. But there is good news, and the good news is that the tea's decline has been halted in the last 5 years. This thanks to the marketing efforts of all the UK tea companies and the UK Tea Council in promoting the goodness and the health benefits of tea.
To tell you about main features of Russian tea market, and of course one should mention the current economic situation, current crisis. So this is the name of the subject, Russian tea market and economic crisis. So general review, some figures about Russian imports, Russian tea markets. As you can see from the graph, general consumption, domestic consumption is not changing much during past 12 years. There could be signs of just a little bit slow growth, and a good sign of past 4 or 5 years is bigger re-export. This is mostly reprocessed tea, already packed and delivered to Russian neighboring countries, former parts of former Soviet Union. So Russia in last year showed a good figure of almost 180 million kgs of imports of tea, worth of more than $500 million. But of course, local market in value will show much higher figure because of value addition. So geographical structure of Russian imports, another name for this graph is Sri Lanka versus India, as here where the main competition is going on. As you can see, just recently India showed as much as 70% of Russian tea imports in 1999 and 2000, but then sharply came down. Sri Lanka took place to a larger extent, and few other sources were growing, like Kenya and Vietnam. Indonesia also quite high, but there were better times, for example in 2005. Basically the graph is about biggest 6 suppliers for the Russian tea market, but also one should mention Georgia here. You can see just some indicators in the end of 90s for Georgia, because I wanted to mention it because once upon a time Georgia was the main source of tea for former Soviet Union and Russia as its part, but now it's negligible, almost
As you
zero.
all know, tea is the most friendliest drink. No doubt the tea fraternity here is quite happy today. We have very eminent people like Mr. Joe Simrani, Mr. Marcus Wolf, Mr. Pradeep Jayatilak, and Mr. Alexei. So you have had the deliberation. They are here with us for the next couple of days. So I suggest you make the best use of it to personally discuss with them if you have anything very specific to discuss. Thank you, one and all of you, and we shall now have the tea break. Thank you.
We'd like to present a memento to Mr. Joe Simrani. Thank you so much. To Mr. Marcus Wolf. Thank you. To Mr. Pradeep Jaitala. Thank you. And to Mr. Alexei Shvetsov. I'd like to now call on Mr. R.T. Vadera, past president of UPASI, to please present a memento to our chairman. Thank you, Mr. Vadera. With that, we come to the end of the first session. We're going to be breaking for tea and reassembling at 12 sharp.